A lot of people take the Nefertari family for face value, but if you think about them for longer than a minute, you come up with some major discrepancies. Like, why did the Nefertari family join the other 19 families who would eventually become the Celestial Dragons in a war against the Ancient Kingdom, and then turn around and accept a poneglyph from the remnants of that Ancient Kingdom? Why did the Nefertari family refuse to join the other 19 families in taking on the mantle of godhood? Why hadn't the other families retaliated against the Nefertari family for making this decision? Everyone knows that the Nefertari family is the one family among the 20 who created the world government who also refused to ascend to the capital and live as celestial dragons. We also know that at some point, Joy Boy trusted them enough to leave with them the location of Pluton and a poneglyph. What we don't know is why. In order to move forward, we're going to have to use our friend Mr. Logic to deduce a few things. 1. The Nefertari once thought that at least publicly going against the Ancient Kingdom was in their best interest. 2. The Nefertari agreed with the idea of the world government, but didn't agree with the idea of the Celestial Dragons. This is demonstrated in the fact that they refused to be Celestial Dragons despite constantly participating with the government. They didn't really show any resistance against that idea. 3. The Nefertari were allies to Joy Boy by the end of the Void Century. So, what does all this suggest? Before I get to the theory, I would like to take this moment to invite you to subscribe for more of this type of content. And I would like to say that I have this series called The Big List of Manga, where I've tried to summarize as many manga as possible, spoiler free of course, so that people can kind of use that as a one-stop shop, as a place to sort of research the type of manga that they might be interested in. Right now, I am doing the work of Osamu Tezuka, and it is very extensive and it's probably going to take a long time. So back to the theory, because I can't really get into that right now. One thing that always bugged me was the promise that Joy Boy made to the ancestor of Shirahoshi. If Joy Boy was this powerful monarch in the greatest kingdom that the world has ever seen, or whatever the heck the Ancient Kingdom was supposed to be, why was he so ineffectual at making this promise happen? Why do you even have to make the promise to begin with? Because if you think about it, a promise is usually for someone who's incapable of doing something, right? You don't make a promise to pay somebody back when you have a pocket full of money. I'm guessing some people do when they want to hold on to their money, but you get what I'm trying to say. Another discrepancy is the structure of the world government itself. If you think about it, it's not really an inherently bad system. It just has some bad elements. If you take out the Celestial Dragons, the Gorosei, and the Im or Emu or whatever the heck her name is, I said her because I think it's a she, the world government actually seems kind of reasonable, if not more democratic than a monarchy. I mean, the respective kings, they serve as representatives in something that resembles a republic. The Marines even, some of them, at least among their ranks, are some really good people like Kobe. Compare him with a creep like Blackbeard, and there's really no comparison. And then you have to consider the Revolutionary Army. They're like the biggest enemy to the world government, and their only beef is really with the Celestial Dragons. My question to you is, why is that the case? Well, my belief is that we have a severe misunderstanding of the relationship between the 20 kingdoms and the Ancient Kingdom. I believe that the Ancient Kingdom and the ancestors of the world government were once allies in a war against the Kingdom of the Gods. More specifically, I think that the Ancient Kingdom sought to overthrow the corrupt and complacent dynasties that were running the world through the Kingdom of the Gods and reform the kingdom into what we would now call the world government. And they did so with the help of the other 20 kingdoms of whatever the heck the One Piece planet is called, and that was a tongue twister. The formation of the world government was created by the Ancient Kingdom with the intentions of abolishing slavery and quelling the oppression that had become commonplace and rampant throughout the Kingdom of the Gods territory. This ideology is what earned them the title, the natural enemy of the gods. Using the weapons that they despoiled from the Kingdom of the Gods, I think that the Ancient Kingdom had one other final goal in mind: the destruction of the Red Line. You see, I think that the Red Line was actually created by the Kingdom of the Gods when the Lunarians first arrived to whatever the heck the One Piece planet is called. I think the boat Noah actually has its origins in being an answer to a giant flood that was created by the original installation of the Red Line by the Lunarians when they first arrived on the planet. But I have zero evidence for that. So, moving on. Seeing the destruction of the Red Line as a bridge too far, 19 of the smaller kingdoms created an alliance seeking to benefit from the power vacuum facilitated by the previous war. They pressured the Nefertari family into cooperation, and in public, the Nefertaris complied. But in secret, they served as spies for Joy Boy, the last king of the ancient kingdom. And there you have it. The reason why the Nefertari didn't seem to be as ride or die as the other 20 families is because they were caught in a political quagmire created by the quickly shifting political motivations of the various kingdoms. The world government was pretty much conceived before the war between the ancient kingdom and the 20 kingdoms, and the ancient kingdom's involvement with the founding was erased completely from history. The Nefertari were the only family loyal to its original vision, but had to play political games to survive after the ancient kingdom was deposed. And there we go. That's what I think happened. That's my One Piece theory. That's the theory that took me so long to do that I became completely ineffectual as a YouTuber. I was just as bad as Joy Boy before the beginning of the Void Century. Now, I shouldn't make a dig at him. He was a hero. He was a legend. Anyway, so I have some more questions, like why was the 20 Kingdoms able to defeat the Ancient Kingdom if the Ancient Kingdom had access to 3 weapons? And I do kind of sort of have an answer to that. It involves Emu, so that's a bit of a spoiler. And that's the theory that I'm going to go with, but I'm not going to detail that theory until later. That's another video for another time, effectively. And that's it. Oh yeah, by the way, this theory does sort of answer the question as to why Joy Boy just wasn't able to do exactly what he needed to do at the time he needed to do it, why he needed that gap in time. If you intend on sort of draining the entire planet, like a clogged drain or whatever, you probably need to coordinate that with a bunch of different people. And then there was probably some political machinations that he had to deal with, so he just didn't have the time to follow through on his intentions. And by political machinations, I mean all-out total war. And so that's the end of the theory, and I'm going to say goodbye, because if I keep talking, you're going to click off anyway. So long, everybody.